We touched on mindset briefly in the last video. Mindset is a set of attitudes, beliefs, and assumptions held by an individual. Your mindset shapes how you view change in your life and what you'll do to make it happen. It's made up of your inner dialogue and affects how you see yourself, your behaviours, and the world around you. When it comes to our health and fitness, our mindset is often the hardest part of us to change. With the right tools and internal work, it's certainly possible to do. Mindset matters because it affects everything we do, say, and how we think. It has the power to make or break us. Over the course of this program, we're looking to switch from a dieting mindset to a health mindset. So let's look at what these two different types of mindset look like and how they shape everything we do. The dieting mindset. If you have a dieting mindset, it's very likely that you'll have some of these thoughts or attitudes. So let's just look at when it comes to food. You avoid carbs, especially grains like pasta, cereals, and rice. You permit yourself to have cheat days or cheat meals where you're allowed to eat whatever you want. If you eat something you view as extra in a day, like a dessert, you feel like you need to exercise more. The burn it to earn it philosophy. If you know you're going out for a meal with friends in the evening, you might cut back on food in the day to account for it. You eat really carefully all week and then eat whatever you want to at the weekends, regardless of how hungry or full you feel. You count and track calories. You try to adhere to calorie or points or sin goals most days, regardless of how hungry or full you are. You might love shows like The Biggest Loser and watch these to inspire you. If you eat forbidden foods or treats, junk food or bad foods, you think you've blown it and then engage in what I call the fuck it effect, where you eat everything in large quantities and again ignore hunger and fullness cues. If you feel like you ate too much at one meal, you might deliberately eat less the next to make up for it, regardless of how hungry you are. You might describe your day of food as either good or bad. And you might say things like getting back on plan or falling off the wagon. When it comes to exercise, if you have the dieting mindset, you might feel guilty if you don't exercise because you feel like you haven't burnt off any calories. And if you don't exercise, you might compensate for this by cutting down on what you eat. You may select exercises based on how many calories they burn. And if you leave home without your fitness tracker, you might even feel like you've wasted your workout. So when it comes to the social impact, you might worry about what other people think about your eating. You might eat less in public. You probably attend a slimming club. And it's very likely that you talk to your friends about calories, diets, and slimming plans. When it comes to your life and sense of self, it might be that you put things off until you reach a certain weight. Things like relationships, or going on holiday, or even delaying your wedding date. You might set deadlines for your weight loss goals based on dates for special occasions, like holidays and weddings. You might feel like you'll only be truly happy when you weigh a certain amount. And your inner voice probably says horrible things to you about your body whenever you look in the mirror. So does all of this sound painfully familiar? In the Prep Work module, you'll find a dieting mindset self-assessment worksheet, and we'll be using this to keep track of how your mindset changes throughout the program. So now let's look at the difference if we have a health mindset instead of a dieting mindset. So when it comes to food, some of the big differences is that you can tell the difference between thirst, hunger, and your emotional needs. You eat because you feel hungry, regardless of the time of day or how much you've already eaten. And you don't label foods as good, bad, or forbidden. Instead, you select foods based on how much you'll enjoy them and how they make your body feel afterwards. You enjoy the taste, texture, and amount of food, and the overall experience of eating is really mindfully enjoyed, instead of eating in front of a screen or rushed down on the go. And you stop eating when you're full, even if it means having to leave food on your plate. When it comes to exercise, if you have the health mindset, then you exercise for the pure enjoyment of it. or stress relief, or see it as an enjoyable social activity. In this way, you don't view it as a means to burn calories. Instead, fitness is defined as an increase in strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular improvements. So it's not about six-pack abs, washboard stomachs, or buns of steel. And you don't feel self-conscious when you exercise, because you enjoy your chosen activity so much that you're fully absorbed by it. And when it comes to your social life, if you have the health mindset, you don't feel the need to pre-plan for meals out with friends. And events involving food don't make you feel anxious. You don't feel self-conscious eating in front of others. And you don't worry what they'll think about your eating. You might exercise with friends as an enjoyable way to socialise, instead of viewing it as needing motivation or moral support. And when it comes to your life and sense of self, with the health mindset, it's likely that you'll select clothes, including beachwear, based on how comfortable and how they make you feel, rather than worrying about how slim or fat you look. You don't eat less or exercise more in preparation for big life events, and you fully live life in the present instead of holding out for when you weigh a certain amount. You probably don't bother weighing yourself, and your inner voice is compassionate towards yourself, and you speak to yourself in the same way as you would a dear friend. So overall, with the health mindset, health and fitness is important to you, but you see it as completely disconnected from weight loss and changing the way your body looks. Instead, you focus on internal cues for hunger, fullness, thirst, and emotional needs, and you know the need for rest and the need for movement. You let your body tell you what it needs instead of trying to control it from external cues like trackers, scales, and mirrors. And you feel at peace and free. You have more emotional energy to spend on the other areas of your life.